everybody. Today's video is going to be a follow-up on something I did about a week ago on schizophrenic hallucinations. I briefly touched on it, and then I kind of, if you've seen that video, I kind of cut it short because I had some disturbances in the house. As you can see, I'm in the living room here. I haven't really got my own setup just yet. I'm definitely working on that. It's on my to-do list, but that's just, you know, this is the setup I have for now. So don't be surprised if halfway through this video you see somebody walking by. I mean, that's just what it is, but you know, whatever. But schizophrenic hallucinations, what are they? If you have any experience with someone who's schizophrenic, or if you think you're schizophrenic, or if you've been labeled schizophrenic and you're watching this video, I hope it helps what I have to say. Me personally, I was diagnosed as schizophrenic as well as a few other things back in 2015. Yeah, I was diagnosed in 2015, and as far as the hallucinations, I mean, I've had a few, and I wasn't going to go into those at first, specifically what I've seen, but I'll go ahead and give a few, and I did touch on this in my awakening videos. I have, I believe, 4 awakening videos where I broke it down, what happened to me during that time, and I really go into detail. But this is some, you know, just a brief overview of the hallucinations, like the actual visual hallucinations that I have. Now, the major acid trippy ones, where you would really just assume that this person was on drugs, on acid. The first thing that I noticed was, like, really just stuck out to me. I was sitting on a couch, and I had a Starbucks cup in front of me, and the mermaid on the cup, if you've seen that cup, you know what I'm talking about. It's got a crown on. Well, this mermaid started doing like this, like taking, like, the hands, I guess, whatever it is on the side there, were coming up and doing like this, like it was and it looked like it was a hat or something. But she was taking her crown on and off, and when she was doing it, she was just like looking up at me, like, hey, and then looking down, and then looking back up at me, and it was straight up like that. And I was just kind of like, am I really seeing this? I couldn't believe what I was seeing, but yeah, that's what I was seeing. So that was the first big thing, and it almost looked like Hannah Montana, really. If you've seen Hannah Montana, it looked like that. But yeah, so I saw that, and then in the TV, the TV was turned off, and it was a big screen TV, really big TV. And in the TV, like, the way that everything was hitting the TV, the lights in the background and everything, it looked like Yoda. Just straight up like Yoda in the middle of the TV. And he was the universe. And he was, like, standing like this. And he had his arms out, and his, you know, he was just standing like a cross or whatever. But he was spinning really slow. And he was, yeah, he was definitely Yoda, and there was some other part to that, but yeah, anyway, that's mixed in with a delusion. I'm gonna say delusion, and I'm gonna do another video on the delusions of schizophrenia as well, but I'll go into that maybe then. But I also saw glyphs in the clouds, just symbols in the clouds. I think during the very beginning of my, what I call my awakening. That was my that was my awakening. I was just kind of, it was one of the first things I saw was the glyphs in the clouds, and I'm just like, what in the world is that? And then another thing that I saw, and it really was, I mean, I don't know if maybe I'm just more in touch with, or not in touch, I don't want to say in touch because it makes me sound like I'm better than somebody else, but I'm just more sensitive to things. Like I see things just naturally, I guess, and some people do that. But I was at my friend's house. This was like a year later, but I was sitting there. I had taken like a couple hits of pot, but the clouds, when they went by, it looked exactly like a giant ship, and there was kids on the edge of the rail, like looking down at me and waving, and I'm just kind of like, hey John, do you see that? And he's just like, oh, by that point he was just kind of like, oh, okay Carrie, whatever whatever you have to say. So yeah, that's the major ones that I have. Now as far as the other hallucinations, I see faces in everything. If I really pay attention, I could see face. I mean, there's houses in my neighborhood that look like just eyeballs. So if you put that kind of lens on and you're sitting there and you see an eyeball over here, and then way across there's another house over here, that could be an eyeball, and you pull yourself out of that, then you've got a whole face there. But I see little faces too. I see giant faces in plants, in trees, and I actually kind of feel like, you know, if there's a face there and you see it, then that really exists, and it probably needed to be seen. But yeah, so I see faces. Now I did at the beginning of what I refer to as the awakening, and if you'd like to have more information about that, then go and you can watch my awakening videos. But I saw crosses, a lot of crosses everywhere, and I was just kind of like, oh my God, I'm holy or something, like, or Jesus is talking to me. That's what I thought at first. But there was a time in 2016 when, in the very beginning, it might have been, yeah, late 2015 or early 2016, I was standing outside looking at the moon, and the clouds that were coming down made the moon look exactly like a dragon. Like the moon was the head and the clouds were the body, and it just looked like it was coming right down on me. I was like, oh my gosh. And then later on in 2016, I actually went to the doctor, to a hospital in Fort Worth, and my daughter's coming in. But I did go to the doctor, and I told him about some of these hallucinations, and I said that whenever I was watching birds, because this was disturbing, because the sky didn't even look real to me anymore. I mean, and it was very upsetting. Like I was like, I would always look for someone else to validate that instead of just believing in myself. I would be like, hey, do you notice that the sky doesn't look real? And the birds, when I would watch birds fly, it looked like they were swimming in the sky, and there was a purple tracer following them. Like I don't know what it was, but yeah, there would be a purple tracer following, and I was just like, what is going on, doc? And they were like, that doesn't sound like schizophrenia to me. And at that point I was just like, but they were going to go ahead and give me all the drugs for the schizophrenia because I had been diagnosed. But he said, well, that don't really sound like schizophrenia, but he just, I guess, wanted to get me out of his office and said, here, just take these drugs, even though it doesn't sound like you're schizophrenic, just take them anyway. But I didn't take them. But and then just some other random visions would be a flash, just flashes of things that come into my mind. I'll just get a flash of an image. One of them was me sitting at the bottom of an ocean waiting, and I was made of stone. And then another one was my dog was a dragon and she was gonna fly me up to the top of well, I got, you know, I just thought that she was a dragon. I don't really know at this point if I saw her. I think I just saw me riding her up to the top. It's just kind of, some of that stuff is kind of a blur, but I do remember at least 3 times seeing a flash of a castle floor. The first time that happened, I saw specifically the stone floor, and then there were pillars on the side. It was like I was walking in an aisle, and I was like rolling down it or walking down. I don't know. It was really strange, but there was pillars of fire on each side of the aisle, and I was just walking down, and I was like, oh my God. I actually freaked out at that point because this was kind of new to me. I got a flash, an image of my daughter's ex-boyfriend, had a profile view of his face, and he was turning, he went from human and then kind of morphed into a werewolf. And if you've seen the werewolf films, it shows it slowly how it just kind of goes from human, and then it changes, and then it changes, and then they're not. That's what I saw, and I was kind of like, Callista, you need to break up with him. But if we're cats and he's a dog, I don't know if that's gonna work. But anyway, yeah, I saw that. Now I did also want to mention that as far as the voices go, it's typical of schizophrenics to hear voices, and I did want to mention that I didn't actually hear a distinct voice, one that sounded something other than me, until late 2016, and it's just random. It's only happened a handful of times, and I can tell when they're different. I've seen videos out there that just describe the schizophrenic voices, and I'll do another video. I'm not really going into voices. I actually have something in mind for a video on that as well, but yeah, this is about the hallucinations. So anyway, I didn't start hearing the distinct voices until late last year, and I've only, I'd say, heard them about 6 or 7 times at the most. Ones that sound different than me in my head. So now, what are these hallucinations? What are your hallucinations? What are hallucinations anyway? What does that even mean? It's, you know, it's hard to say whenever you have a label on you. Like, everybody thinks you're crazy. They're gonna think that you're just Looney Tune anyway. But we have a problem in our society where we don't really, it's backwards land, okay? This is backwards land, and everything that you think is right is wrong. And if you think it's wrong, it's probably right. So I'm not saying go out and do bad things to people or anything like that, but we have people that they claim to be waiting for someone to come and say that they're here to save us and this and that. They're sent by God, they're chosen. But whenever that really happens and someone says that, they get put in a mental institution and called schizophrenic. They get called delusional. They get, they get all these labels put on them. Well, that's not cool, man, because if we just need to get with the program here, because we've got our prophets and our starseeds, our saviors, in mental institutions. So that really is a sore subject with me. But if you really think about it, the earth is a library of information. It's a library, and it's got a lot of information here, but the Matrix is a well-run program. It's got its holes in it. It's getting more and more holes, and that's where I think these hallucinations are coming through, because people are starting to really see and perceive what's really the deal. And science fiction, I mean, you take a word like science, and we're already behind on the times when it comes to science anyway. I mean, you think the cabal is going to want to teach us how to how to break through the matrix? They're not going to teach us the correct stuff in school. So you take a word like science and be like, oh, okay, well, if it's scientific, then that can be proven. And then you throw a word like fiction on the end of it. Science fiction. So anyway, don't get me started on the word plays, but yeah, where do you think these movies and these ideas come from? You know, if the earth is a library of information, then, you know, just think about that for a second. People need to put on their thinking caps here. So yeah, and okay, so I don't know if you've ever heard of a galactic historian, but pretty much everything you were taught in history class, you could take that and throw it out the window. Go and look up the galactic historians. There's two that I've learned about so far. The first one that I ever heard of is Jelaila Starr. And I'll put a link to her channel, but she knows her shit. She knows her shit. Her name's Jelaila. She's got a website as well. I'll post some stuff down in the description for her. But then there's Andrew Bartzis, and he can actually, I don't know if Jelaila reads the Akashic records while she's giving the information, or she just read it from a book and knows it really well. Or she's channeling it from her higher self. I don't know, but Andrew Bartzis, from what I gather, reads the Akashic records while he's sitting there talking. And he reads the Akashic record for the earth, which is a library of information, right? So he can tell you what's real and what's not real. And what he tells you will blow your freaking mind. It will connect so many dots for you. He knows that there are planets out there where mermaids exist. There's a reason why that mermaid was trying to communicate with me, like, hey, look at me take my crown off and put it back on. Wake up, lady. Like, snap out of it, because this is the dream world, and, you know, we're all living in a dream. And people are starting to wake up. And whenever we wake up and we're told that we're delusional, I mean, it was hard. It was hard for me to be told, oh, you're just delusional, because I thought I was a bird person or was a cat person. I mean, yeah, but that exists. Go do some research on Lyra. You know, go do some research on the Pleiades, and do some research other than in the Bible or anything Christian veered, anything that's veered towards a religion. They don't want you to know the truth. Go look at some actual other points of reference. So then you'll start realizing that your soul, okay, think about the saying old soul. Oh, he's an old soul. Well, where does that come from? If we're old souls, then we've been here before. We've incarnated before, and that means that blows the Christian religion out of the water. That blows a lot of religion out of the water. An old soul? An old soul. Oh, I'm an old soul, but I'm brand new here. I've never been here before in a body, but I'm an old soul. Okay, come on now. Come on. So those sayings come from somewhere. The movies and songs come from somewhere. The science fiction, I mean, where do you think they get these ideas? So anyway, I'm just kind of rambling at this point, but what I think is happening is our souls we've been here before. Our souls are starting to come in and nudge us. If we're not doing what our souls want us to do, our soul is going to come in and be like, hey, what the hell are you doing? Wake up. And I experienced that. It scared the crap out of me. And I actually wrote down yesterday what is fear, and I can't remember. I'll try to remember where I got this from, but fear is, a movie. Got it from a movie. Okay. False evidence appearing real. Okay, so the false evidence is what you see around you with your basic senses, and it's not real. So when you're hallucinating and having delusions, that's real, and you're being told, oh, you're sick, you're sick, you're sick. Well, that'll scare the shit out of anybody. I'm sorry, but yeah, our subconscious and our souls remember our past lives, and they'll come in and they'll give you little hints. You set your own hints up, and you have help doing it. So these hints are there for a reason, and they, you know, if you were a mermaid in a past life, you'll probably know that. If you're really, your soul, your eternal self is a feline being, then, you know, don't go to the doctor saying, I think I'm a cat, because then they'll put you in a straitjacket. But go and check out Andrew Bartzis and Jelaila Starr if you want to know the truth. And some of this stuff, it does get scary. It can be scary to hear shit that you haven't heard before, but it's just the way it is. You're not sick. You're not delusional. You're not having hallucinations and false this or that. This, what you see, is the false on the news, on TV. That's the fake. That's the bullshit right there. So go ahead and turn that off and tune into something else. But yeah, and just the last thing I wanted to bring up on this is that some of these memories or these visions that you're having, or hallucinations, or whatever you're experiencing, there are other worlds. There are previous home worlds that have been destroyed. According to Jelaila, I think she said three home worlds have been destroyed. One of them was called, I think, Maldek or something like that. I'd have to look it up. I'm not a historian, and my memory is not that great, a short-term memory. But yeah, it actually exploded, and that's what our belt is around our planet. That whatever you call it, belt. But yeah, I'll remember it as soon as I turn this video off. I remember what that is. But yeah, that's pieces from a planet, man, flying around in space. That's like, they don't tell you that in school. Asteroid belt. What the hell? Yeah. Excuse me. But anyway, so yeah, if you're watching this still and you're having these hallucinations, don't worry. That's just your soul trying to nudge you. As soon as you get on the right track and do whatever you feel in your heart that you need to do, your soul will let you kind of relax a little bit. Because our soul, imagine like your soul coming up from top into your body, powering you like an avatar. Okay, and the word avatar is Sanskrit, and it means to come down and cross over. So that's what I'm not going to say everybody, but that's what some of us are here for. And if you're watching this, it's probably one of you. So, okay, wow, 23 minutes. Thank you so much for listening, and it feels great for me to get this out, this information. I know that people out there are struggling with that schizophrenic label. I did, and you know, it hurts to be called that, and you know, it's just a label of what it is. It's just an overflow, an extreme overflow of unprocessed spiritual information. So let's just do what we can to align that, shall we? And if you have anything to say, let me know. If you want to get in contact with me, if this resonates with you that much and you'd like to email me, it's kaekle99@gmail.com. Okay, y'all have a good day. Bye.